So whatever the domain that they are working, they might be working in multiple different scenarios. Some might be working Windows administration. Some might be working with Office administration, where Exchange Online or Office. Some might be working with application patch management. That itself is, if you look at all these services company like Wipro, Infosys, TCS, and all these companies, they have a separate packaging factory. Yeah, so all these college freshers, bachelors, diploma holders, and then graduates, they go into this packaging industry to start off. I've seen many people who started off with packaging on Windows administration within 5 to 6 years. They moved into very good roles with a very good compensation. So that is purely because of their focus, their hard work, and getting the right things at the right time, right projects, right learning skills. Yeah, so spending some time, extra time in learning and upskilling themselves. So when I talk about 1 to 3 years of experience, no matter what your previous experience is, you can always move to Intune. Okay. So with that, so you can 1 to 3 years experience, but for Intune, what is basically needed is some of the fundamental things. If you should go to Intune, you should really understand Azure AD. You should understand Intune plus how the general concepts of MDM works and why organizations require device management. Why do they want to manage the devices? So you should be knowing fundamentals of patch management system, and you should be knowing about some of the security and non-security settings. Okay, so these are only few things, at least for 1 to 3 years experience can handle moving to Intune. So how do they approach jobs? There are two things. Yeah. So either they can say they are interested in moving to Intune and they are fresh, or they can also say I did a decent amount of Intune administration in my previous organization, and with that knowledge plus the previous knowledge, you can club your roles. Like if you are an Windows administrator, you can say I was a both in Intune and in Windows and a server administrator, and then apply, because when you say three things, you'll have limited scope in asking questions on Intune. You'll probably ask about Windows servers and then again Windows general ways of how actually organization work. So since most of you are already working, so you don't have to worry about the process related things, right? So usually processes are generally for any changes within your system, you need to apply for a change request, get approval, do some testing. All these processes are mandatory. So you have to club these things while talking to the interview. So that shows that you are actually worked in an industry. So some people might ask you, okay, so how do you do patching from Intune? Yeah. So if that's the case, the way you actually talk is, yes, we get a request. So say, for example, Microsoft, this is how you answer. Okay, I'm answering. So this is how you do it. So you actually you don't download the patches in Intune, right? So you identify a Tuesday, a patch Tuesday when Microsoft releases patches. You have a test ring or test systems. You download all the patches using Intune or any other, or directly also. You just check all the testing, and you do have a checklist, right? Whether once you install an application, whether you see something or something missing, typical patch management cycle. So for that, you have to search in the internet how a patch management is done in an organization. I'm talking about the process. Okay, the process along with the product is also important. Process proves the interviewer that you have actually worked in a production system. So if you only have technical knowledge and if you don't know how you actually do, if can't demonstrate on how you actually did that job regularly in your company, it means that you just watched some videos and some training and then you appeared for an interview. So you have to prove both ways. You have to talk how your organization was, how your product was using your organization. I mean, used by your organization. So you can say, yeah, so I'll continue. So you'll say, I'll download use the test systems. I used to have a checklist, whether to check whether Office applications are working after the new patches have been installed. And after as some business critical application. Every organization has some business critical applications they used to check. So you can say I did a checklist and verified all the business applications work and everything is working. Once we get the approved checklist, we used to deploy patches based on multiple rings. Yeah, so ring 2, ring 3, or any other rings based on them. So that is how you actually do. So application, right? If you're talking about software application, the way you answer in Intune is when you want to really see how, if you to prove that you really work, most of the people don't package applications. They would say that I used to get applications from the packaging team. So you can openly and bluntly say that I don't have experience in packaging, because that's a different skill altogether. Okay. So I used to get packaging from the SCCM team or even the packaging team. I used to just upload the packages, verify the packages, verify those packages are deployed from Intune, and troubleshoot if at all we have any installation issues. And once we prove it, we used to have a create a cycle and then change requests and deploy those applications based on required or optional applications. So when it comes to policy, it's a one-time job, right? If it's a BitLocker policy, deploying BitLocker policy is a very simple thing, but to decide how should your policy looks like, how should your firewall policy looks like, what values you need to configure for a firewall policy, for encryption, for antivirus, for exclusions, for attack surface reduction rules, all of the security hardening, non-security related, it is a huge list. And how you deploy it is there are multiple reasons. Okay, so if you are an architect, if you're a consultant, you actually design that list based on multiple interactions with your organization security team, with your organization CIO, CCO, CISO, based on businesses. If it's insurance, you actually work with your insurance company vendors as to see all these settings are okay with the end users, or they would not complain. So end users experience are very important. At the same time, security is important. So we have to have balance on defining the security or non-security settings. So generally the way organization does is that way, right? So they sit for 3 or 4 months to decide how your configuration should like. Okay. So what is the BitLocker values? How your BitLocker recovery keys should be there. Okay, how should your help desk move? What should your help desk know? Who will train your help desk? Okay, so what access of Intune they need for your help desk? What rollback access they need for your Intune administrators? What access they need for security administrators? So role-based access control is one thing that they would ask, and how you actually used it in your organization. So at a broad level, these are the concepts that we can actually use. So yeah, continuing in the policy section. So your architect, consultant, or the security team approves a list of controls end system needs. Yeah, starting from even the start menu. Some people have different start menu. Each organization has different start menu. Each organization has different way of backing up their OneDrive known folders. Yeah? Some people don't want to back up their downloads and videos, but they just wanted to back up documents, which is most of the standard practice. So you can either say, I used to get all the settings approvals based on the security team, or based on some standards like CIA standards, some security companies standards, or my own company security standards. So these are the standards that they are using for last 10 years. So we have just used those settings, but we just changed the deployment tool from SCCM group policy to Intune. So these are the things that have you handle. Okay, so yeah, Sloy, Alan, any question? I think you're unmuted.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So, okay, so these are the ways you actually approach an interview questions. Okay, so that's a process plus your product combination. So knowing about the product is again a separate thing, right? So 70% is they ask you the product questions. So just the 2030, while you're speaking, you club your process, then they'll identify and say that mostly, yeah, so this is, he is not a person who has just learned the tool. He just came with the actual experience. So second thing, okay, say today, a classic example of if you watch uh, a trainer driving the car and explaining it to you, will you learn car driving?
No.
Okay. So you can watch hundreds of thousands of videos of a person driving the car, him explaining the car. Okay. He will keep explaining, okay, how to do the steering, how to turn on the gear. He'll explain the clutch system. He'll do everything that he wants. Okay. So even if you watch 100 videos, you won't get it. So even if you sit from far and listen to a trainer on how to learn the car training, you really won't get it. So the important thing is no matter how many times that you explain, okay, second thing, if I give you a documentation on how to drive a car, if you read it, can you drive the car? No, right? So I can have a brake manual on how to drive the car. I'll give you to read and I'll give you a car keys. Can you drive the car? No, you cannot do it. Same ways, you can watch 100 different videos, you cannot do it. So the important thing is you have to practically do it once. Okay. The same applies here. Okay. So unless you sit in the car and drive, then it's easy. So who is better? Even without the document, even without much of the videos watching, a person who sits and drives 3 or 4 times is much better than a person who watches 100 videos or even multiple hundreds of different documents on how to drive a car. So similarly here, it is very simple. No matter how many trainings you attend, how many videos you watch, how many documents you do on Intune, learning, reading, everything is okay, but nothing beats if you just have a Intune service tenant and one test laptop and one test Android device or iOS device or any one. If you do it once, okay, so you can be much, much, much better, too confident to answer anyone. Take it from me, this is the only fact true that happens, okay? All others, within few minutes, an interviewer will identify that he has not done it, okay? So until you do it, don't appear for interviews. Okay? So imagine, right, in this job market, so the competition is so high. It's not like 2020 or 2021. So it's very difficult to get a call. So why do you want to miss an opportunity without even preparing? Yeah. So I would suggest for all these 1, 2, 3, 4 years experienced people to add Intune as an additional skill or only this only skill, you need to work hard for a month continuously. Okay. So have the lab first. Once you have the lab, I'm talking about after the lab, 25 days. So 4 or 5 days is just for setting up your lab, your setup environment. So do a very strict way of learning. Okay. So mm, testing is very important. You don't have to test 4,000 policies. All you have to know is how to deploy a policy and how to administer. Going to the console itself, you learn half of it. Okay? So you learn every feature. So imagine if you can just sit in front of the console, log in and see what options you have, each tab for only half an hour or 1 hour a day. Okay, it gives you so much information. So you can expand that information every day. So nothing is limited. Okay, so everything is unlimited. Okay, so no one can say, oh, I know everything on Intune, I know everything on so and so tool, I know everything on next thing, or all that, nothing. Okay, no one can say anything. It's unlimited. The people keep developing. It's a business, right? So Microsoft needs to keep adding features every day. They have to create a problem, they have to solve the problem. Only then their business will sustain, right? They cannot say, oh, Intune is ready, no more new things. But they cannot do that. Yeah. So they have to keep adding new things. They have to keep adding new products. So they're now saying AI. Okay, so if you look at the way AI works, it's very and now the jobs are really uh, limited. The skill is gone to bonkers, right? So we really need a unique skill to sustain in this job market. So in other words, if I can say, if AI is responding to emails, imagine, right? So it's so then off of your job, off of your managers, off of your people, the time that you all use is very limited. It'll construct an email based on all the data that it has in your OneDrive, in your previous meeting. It'll convert your Teams audio meeting into text messages, and then that text is processed to get the update summary. If you missed a meeting, you can just ask Teams, get the summary of the meeting, right? It'll convert its audio meetings to text, and then it'll give you a summary. So if it's becoming so easy, yeah. So create a PPT, create a resume, create okay, everything is automated, right? So if you're talking about troubleshooting jobs, so Intune, they're adding AI to M365, right? So if you enter an error code, if you upload a log, the Intune in future will identify as to why your device has been errored out, why it failed, based on the logs that even the other 100 or 1,000 customers have sent. So it's adaptive learning, right? So it's generative learning based on what you have generated in the current industry. So it keeps learning and giving you errors. So you fixed an issue based on the first response, and you say to your AI engine, yes, this is actually an issue it fixed. So it'll start learning, and it'll suggest other people that this is a solution, other customers have used it. So even for you, it'll work. So your troubleshooting jobs will keep reducing. Your administration jobs will keep reducing. So the skill that matters is very new and unique. Okay. So it's very, and other important thing is very fast, very fast. Okay. You should not really be very slow. If you think that by the time you start today or next week and learn Intune, in a 2 or 3 months or 4 months, you're ready and face an interview and go to and apply the job by this for 4, 5, or 6 months. Okay. So the Intune that you learned won't be there, might not be there. It will be there, but I'm just being exaggerating, saying that that's fast. Okay. The things that you know, it's very fast. So it's not the way people have worked all these days. It was very slow, and now it's very fast. So very important thing, first condition, without having a tenant, a client, a test, don't even appear for interviews. Okay. Even if you appear for interviews, you know, there are chances that you will get rejected. And even if you get selected, it means that the person who has interviewed you is not a right person. And I don't suggest you to go to positions where there is really nothing to learn. Okay. And don't change companies for uh, lesser salary hikes, because unless if there's a huge 30 or 40% hikes, I don't suggest you to move from one company to another company, and find and seek opportunities within your own company as much as possible. And if you're in an administration team, make friends with your Intune and the security team and start learning from them. All these are easy methods of learning. When you talk to people, it's effortless, right? So you learn from them. So you get into their calls. You actually have to watch 2 hours video per day, or on an average 10 hours video per week. That is still a very less. Okay? 10 hours video is nothing. And another 10 hours of practice. Do that for 2 months, you'll be an Indian expert. But most of the people don't do it. Okay. So anything that is, I believe in this thing, and I strongly believe, I suggest this to a lot. Anything done consistently, even for a small amount of time, for a longer period, will give you much better results. Okay. So what I mean is, if you work hard, if you work 30 minutes, 1 hour a day, for a longer time rather than 1 week, 2 weeks, for 6 months, and you get into that habit, you'll be much better person down the line. Okay, after 6 or 1 years. What people actually do is they work, they come, okay, I'm done with this job today. I don't have anything else. I'll have to relax. This is my life. This is all these things. Yeah, you see, I enjoy, I live my life for food. I enjoy life of my movies, all that you can do, traveling, all that you can do. But there should be some consistency in learning new things, not just this technology or your job related thing, anything. If out of 24 hours, if you sleep for 8 to 9 hours, if you dedicate just 2 hours of self-learning, 8 hours for job, the rest of the time you can do anything. But what is mandatory is your 2 hours or 1 hour of learning skill. Just like how sleeping is mandatory, if you add 1 hour or 2 hours of learning skill onto your calendar per week and on average, like 10 hours a day, after 6 months, you will realize that you have so much knowledge. If you read 2 hours, 4 hours per week and then stop it, you will not get any knowledge. Do that for 6 months. You will easily master Intune, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud, Defender for anything. So the graph is like this. Okay, so let me show. So most of them are too much experience. I may not be a better person to tell you all. I heard some are 20, 25 years of experience. But what I really believe is, so let me know if it's see my screen, anything. Okay. I am just saying even what I faced. Okay. So you can see my screen, right? So the graph is like this, anything. Okay. The initial part is always difficult. Okay. So this is all difficult. If you start Intune learning Intune and M365 security, this is a starting point. So don't lose confidence here. Okay. Say for example, if today's last day, from tomorrow you start setting up the lab, you don't understand. Okay. You might be here. Okay. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to set up. So all these things are negative things, right? You don't know how to enroll a device. All these are available in Google, but you are tired to read it. Okay. So you either talk to people or read for yourselves. You don't have any other option, correct? Is there any other option to get this stage out? So once you cross Intune device enrollment policies, you learn you are here, but still there is a little bit confusion. So at this stage, after a week, you're in a better stage. You now feel, okay, I have a device, I have test devices, I can see something now. If I deploy application, yes, I can see that in my client. Okay. So if it's not coming, oh, it took me 2 or 3 days to understand why it's not coming and help me troubleshoot. So all this is learning stage where you feel not 100% confident. You might feel, okay, do I really know? Is this what I'm doing correct? So as the days passed, you will see, yeah, this is correct. And once you reach to a stage, it will be like this. The graph is like this, where you will learn too fast. Okay, where you learn too fast. It's because all of the fundamental things is now cleared. And now, if you look at Intune video today, say for example, how endpoint analytics works today, here in this date, you might not understand anything. If you look at Intune analytics, endpoint analytics, at this stage, you'll understand much better. And come back and see Intune, uh, how Windows update for deployment services works today. Here, you might get confused and not understand. But here, after so many days, you'll get much better understanding, because you already know you learned other related and stuff. Okay. So how I'll just give a learning plan. See, I am not only talking, I want you all also to talk and keep asking questions. So everything related to M365 will get, this includes, as you can see, enterprise mobility and security. For compliance and information protection, you will get Azure Active Directory for building management solution. So this is more of a developer account where the people use, it gets you 25 users licenses. It gives you, for people who develop applications, like now they want to develop some add-ons for Office. They want to develop add-on for Teams applications. So all these three things for developers, yeah, that's so you can use it one time with one account. And then this is the best thing that you can actually use it if you need a 1 hour. Don't do that, because if you have 1 year tenant, you'll feel very lazy to learn. Okay, so better do a 30-day tenant and learn within 30 days and extend it for another 30 days. Okay, So regarding migration, right? So migration. So there are two things. Migration is when you say migration, Sandeep. So if you are into a legacy infrastructure, you want to migrate the devices.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, one possible question
Okay.
or, project
So,
it can
mhm.
come up. Can be
So
either,
you're an
on-prem to cloud.
okay. So you are MSP, right? So do you okay? How many customers you all have?
We primarily deal with the Middle East market. So we've got over 200 plus customers. Most of them are, we develop our own product in the HR segment. So we deliver that from Azure. Some
Mhm.
projects are cloud migration related project. It can be a new company who wants to have everything on cloud. So such cases we work on Azure for them as well, deliver the whole thing from Azure. Intune is something which we haven't touched yet, but I see that proximity for that product is quite a lot.
Mhm. Okay. So this the same thing, right? So if when you say 1 second. So migration, when we talk about migration, so it's nothing but you have a system. It's the same thing, right? So you have a system with its AD join and managed by some other tools. Yeah, there might be many tools, Landesk, SCCM, any other tools. Okay? So this is the old legacy tools we're talking about. So this is a management tool. So if you think you need to migrate this system, right? You to Intune, yeah, to Intune. First thing, and there are hundreds of systems in your organization. Okay? So first, you need to have this Intune setup ready, and you pick up two devices, brand new devices, and you create a strategy on how to move new devices to Intune. I mean, bringing new devices to Intune. Forget about the existing devices. Okay? So existing devices is a different strategy. Usually what happens if you have Windows devices, they have something called 3-year lifetime warranty, right? So you refresh the devices, you replace the devices, you actually change their old devices, or Macs nowadays because of chip shortages, you will see 4 years. So every organization will change end user devices after 3 to 4 years, or max 5 years if it's budget constrained, they have budget constraints. So this is called refreshing the devices. So refreshing the devices is when you start looking for moving to a old cloud to a new device management. So that is called a strategy where you don't touch your old devices, and any new devices, a new employee joins, or any old employee who wants a new laptop, new device, you bring those new devices into the newer management tool. Okay, that's not a migration. That's your new system is ready, and all the new laptops, new devices that are coming in will start being managed by a Intune solution. They'll not go to the old management solution. So this is a strategy you devise at the beginning itself. Okay, you can do this when everything is isolated, which means there is no dependency of your old things. Okay, the only thing, patches, you don't have to worry. Policies, you don't have to worry. So the only two things that you can actually need to be migrated from old system to new system, right? Sorry. So this management system, say for example, SCCM. So this SCCM, the only thing that you can migrate here is nothing you can migrate. There is no automation tool to migrate from SCCM to Intune, and you cannot do it. If you have application packages here, you either have to recreate here. If you have policies here, you have to create here manually. There is no migration here, but GPO to Intune is there. GPO policies can be migrated to Intune. Okay, nothing more can be migrated. So all these policies can be migrated to Intune, and that is the only migration strategy that is there for legacy infra to modern infra. So what does your modern infra needs? If at all you need old policies, you don't want to really define policies writing start from the scratch, you need to migrate it. Okay, that is a very bad practice. Okay, but still many people want to do it. We gave that option to migrate old policies to Intune policies.
Rajesh,
Yes.
so when you say GPOs, where are they applied? Are they applied on SCCM server or AD?
GPOs are there in AD, right?
Right.
You create in AD and you apply to a system which is joined to Active Directory.
Right.
Yeah. So clients get GP policies from Active Directory.
Yes.
Yeah. So SCCM has nothing to do because SCCM.
So how they are linked with
Hmm.
SCCM?
It is not linked because your SCCM device is also an on-premise device, right?
Okay.
Joined to an on-premise. So once that you join the device to on-premise, group policies will anyway come in.
Okay, so it would be joined and then
yeah,
GPOs will be okay.
Correct. Every time, so that is how all of your old legacy infra is there. So if you have an on-premise Active Directory, people tend to create group policies. So they everything is a group policy in Windows thing, right? Even if something new comes, they would create a group policy. Okay. Everything
Right.
that you have in Intune can also be done with group policy. Mostly, okay. 80% of the things that you do in Intune can also be done in group policy. And the vice versa nowadays also applies. Everything that you can do in group policy can also be mostly done in Intune. So you either need one tool, you don't need two. Okay.
Mhm.
So that is the only Sandeep, that is the only old to new strategy.
Got it. So it works as a hybrid model where you have that traditional AD Connect synchronizing to Azure, then you manage the users and things from the on-prem, and it gets replicated there. That's how it works. Yeah.
Yes. So if you
Got
think
it,
you
yeah.
have a hybrid system, if you have a devices hybrid, a decision has to be made whether your policies will need to be coming from group policy or Intune.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would highly suggest it should be Intune going forward. You need to get your dependency of on-premise infrastructure lesser. Okay. So the only that way you can actually at some point of time in the future, you can get rid of it completely. And if you start every solution, okay, you can still have it, but if you start having every application, every solution based having dependency on on-premise, you will never get rid of your Active Directory. Okay. So
Got
if
it,
you
yeah.
so because on one final day, you will start looking at okay, I want to get rid of Active Directory. You'll see no, my HR system is dependent on Active Directory. My all this is dependent on. There's so many SAP applications. They are all. You will come back and say, oh, I'm dependent on Active Directory. So in order for you to get rid of it, so you have to make an organizational strategy where you don't find dependency on Active Directory for each and every application and system. So if someone comes with HR MS system, they should say, okay, we have Azure AD directory, integrate your application there for authentication.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have SAP, you integrate it. Salesforce, you integrate it there. So you don't need to depend on Active Directory for everything.
Yeah, I think the roadmap for this product is very vast, isn't it? I mean, they are going to capture most of the areas, I guess.
Yes. Okay. 100% yes. So that is, it is, unfortunately, it's like monopoly. So
Yeah.
there's no
Thanks a lot.
strong competition. Okay. So that is how it is. Okay. So migration is your old clients contacting the new Intune setup. And now The other thing, migrating mobile devices. Okay. So that is a very common scenario, right? So people will say, I want to migrate. I have AirWatch. You see why all this they want to migrate. So they want to have lesser license cost, and also they want to have a unified management experience. They don't want to train people on BlackBerry, AirWatch, Mobile Iron, and also train them on Intune for Windows. They don't want 2 or 3 people. They don't want to have 2 different consoles. They want to have some unified experience. So if you have AirWatch, okay, you want to migrate to Intune. Okay, so this is the Intune. Assume this is the Intune, and this device right now is managed with AirWatch, and you want to move from Intune. There is no migration. Okay. You cannot migrate an existing device which is in AirWatch or Mobile Iron or any other MDM product to Intune without user doing something on the device, which means it'll not be a silent process. User has to unenroll the device from old MDM server and enroll it in Intune. It's a manual process. They cannot do any automation here. Neither they can do automation from server to server. Okay, I have a list of all the devices in AirWatch. Can I move it to Intune? No, they cannot do it. Okay, so when it comes to mobile device migration, it's a plain unenroll, re-enroll strategy. That is it, nothing else. Okay, it's a user-driven process. Okay? So it's a user has to do it. You have to you have to send out a communication telling that we have migrated from AirWatch to Intune. And or we can say we have migrated a mobile device management tool from one tool to another tool, and we need to migrate it. So that's migration.
Got it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Just one thing. If we need to do any certification on this, let's suppose if I plan to, what
Okay.
could be the codes should I be looking for initially for the startup level?
Okay. So certification. Let's look at Microsoft certification. So browse certifications, select Microsoft Intune, and you will see these 2 things, right? So SE900, SE900. So nothing much. Endpoint manager or Intune. So you'll see AZ, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. I think they've retired all the trainings, right?
Yeah, initially they used to have MCST and all
Mhm.
that stuff, so that all been
Yeah.
retired.
Okay. So these are the 3 things that they actually need for Intune. Okay. So they had all this. This is going to retire. MS 101 was enterprise mobility and security. They are going to retire this. Okay. They are going to retire even this. MD 101. Okay. This is again September 30. And they say MD 102 is available, which is this. So they are going to retire even this MS 100 and MS 101. So all these are going to retire. Only this will be remaining. Okay. So this includes the Microsoft 365 administrator for MS 102. This MS 102, if you look at the contents, it explains you. See, this is again very easy. Okay. So you want to appear for it. I'm just sharing the link. Okay. This gives you a bit of tricky. You can copy this link. So this gives you a way of learning also. It's a self-paced learning and it's a free one. Okay. It has 0 to 5 modules. Okay. So you can just click on start. Okay. And it will explain you how much time also. If you look at the start, this is 3 hours remaining. So if you can spend some day for 3 hours, you learn everything here. So this explains everything that I just explained in this last class. Okay, explain. This is cloud environment. It'll give you fundamentals. Okay, and this talks about licensing mail contacts in Office M365. And this talks about managing groups, which we covered on the first day of creating groups. And this is custom domain, client connectivity. Yeah? This is very fundamental to set up an initial tenant, and which is 3 hours. And then we'll talk about managing that tenant. You see here, it's the same thing. RBAC, delegated admin roles, AD PIM, yeah, the privilege management, permissions in actual Azure AD. You see how much importance they are giving to Azure AD because everything is dependent on Azure AD. So, and M365 adoption score, user analytics. You'll learn more things. This will be much interesting. So once you know all this, you are a different person because everyone knows Intune. Assume, okay? When I say everyone knows Intune, to some extent, they know because they're doing a job, day-to-day job, they're okay. But if you start learning at a M365 perspective, of security perspective, of Windows 365 perspective, a cloud PC, you'll be more of a futuristic ready, okay? Threat protection is another important thing of Windows Defender. So it's all self-learning. If you have a tenant and if you have devices, it just requires 2 or 3 hours effort, more effort to read something. So it is a long process. And once you cross that process, I would say you'll enjoy your life. Okay, this is talks about compliance and this is data governance. So everything is this, okay? If you can spend time on this, you're done. Okay, this is implement synchronization. This is Defender. This is exploring. This is managing compliance. This explains more of security. And they are saying, because as you know, as I was just saying, this M365 itself is a thing. And we have M365 administrator expert. This was there. Again, they are retiring this one. They're saying MS 102 is what they want. But if you really want this also, you can actually explore. But for learning, you can do it. Earlier, you can do any one of this. Does this, you'll be an expert. So this is one example. So you can have to complete one of these training, which has, you can see, right, it has 2 stars. And then this exam will become a 3-star. Okay, so which means expert, and there's an associate level. So MD 102 is what I would suggest for you for your certification.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So any other things? Any other questions? Okay. So what do you need to really understand? I'll just list out the topics and actually spend some time. Okay. Azure AD, when it comes to Intune, autopilot, co-management concepts in Azure AD, conditional access. Okay. Groups, tenant administration, company branding, MFA, a very important one. Okay. This is multi-factor authentication. Okay. So when it comes to Intune, Windows 10, 11, 9 management settings. Or Android. Config policies. It's a very important. Okay? BitLocker. So to learn BitLocker, to understand the settings, again, it will take some 1 or 2 days time. And once you learn it, this is a mandatory question, okay, for interviews. These are all things they would actually discuss. And based on your answers, you can actually be a better be confident. So coming to MDM, mobile, definitely MAM, very much important. Mobile application management. Because in Intune, most of the people use MAM than MDM. Okay, MDM is only for corporate devices they use, but very important again to understand both. So iOS is very important to understand Apple Business Manager, VPP, and iOS management. Okay, and Android, just a simple plain enterprise enrollment is fine. So what is important here is the MAM. Okay, so Mac. Again, most of the people, if they have Mac, it's fine. So for Mac OS, it's just enrollment and few policies. What you can also understand is how JAMF works. How is it better? And JAMF integration with Intune. So if you are prepared with this, you can clear 70% of the interviews. Okay. So clearly tell them that I would like to clear, I've just worked on SCCM because I know how SCCM works, but don't say I'm an expert in SCCM. Nowadays we have Linux, nowadays we have everything. Okay. This is again, I would really say, I want to put it as a separate thing. Okay. Defender for endpoint is very, very, very booming. Okay. Now everyone knows Intune. Not everyone doesn't know how endpoint works. Okay. Again, alerts, and then incidents, and then vulnerability management. Attack surface reduction. I can probably say EDR, which is endpoint detection and response. Okay. So it depends if you're appearing for an interview where only they do mobile management, they will probably ask only these questions and Azure AD questions. And if they are focused more on endpoint, Windows and security, they would do this. Probably its assumption is they have another tool for managing mobile devices like AirWatch or Mobile Iron. Or if they think that they're probably migrating to Intune or even the mobile workloads, they will definitely ask about the basics of mobile device management in Intune. So you should be ready for all this, both Windows and Android and Mac OS and security aspects. And when I say security, if you have this knowledge, it's a very plus point. And understand even more. Okay, so you can expand your knowledge beyond endpoint defender for endpoint for servers, endpoint for cloud apps, endpoint for Office 365. Sorry, defender for Office 365. Defender has 5 to different umbrella sets. So if you understand all of the defender, all of Intune, so you are 70% covered with M365. And if you learn just a little bit of Team, SharePoint, and Exchange Online, you're 100% covered for M365. So you can become a Microsoft 365 expert. And to have all this knowledge, all these 3 different verticals knowledge on endpoints, collaboration, and the security, is not an easy one. Okay? So it's easy, but it just needs a year or 2 years of effort. So, and once you do that, not everyone in the market are experts in these 3 verticals. People either know complete of exchange online, SharePoint, they are experts in that, but they don't know anything about security. People know everything about security. They don't know what is Intune. They don't know what is device management. They don't know what is MAM. They don't know what is Teams, devices, Teams, collaboration devices. They don't know exchange online, anything. Okay. That is how the market is. If you know all these 3, you can rule the market. So I'll just even put this in the chat or in WhatsApp. Okay. So that. Oh, okay. So please, any other questions? So nothing at all. So I'm putting this in the WhatsApp chat also.
Apart from Intune, are there any other subject you handle with JOYATRES?
I handle Defender for Endpoint, but that's again a lengthy topic. It's handled in a different way, and also handle on-job assistance that is separately outside of JOYATRES. So, like people get into Intune jobs, and then they're finding difficult to handle, difficult to understand. So I assist them, and probably during weekends.
So it's like a PFP, right, Rajesh?
Yes, something unofficial. Yes, it's just doing their job.
Yeah.
So the reason why I don't handle SCCM is the labs. The labs part is a bit difficult. It's not easy, and the effort that we put for on-premise things, I don't think so people are interested, because people are losing interest in SCCM. People are losing interest in many of the on-premise things. They're only interested in cloud. It's easy to learn, easy to set up, and most of the companies' job markets are that way. So that's why I decided to only handle cloud-based products. And
I think you're pretty much true. If you look at the market, I live in Australia. Now, the trend here is everything is on cloud. But in the Middle East, you still see that, people holding on to their technology and trying to survive there. But I'm not sure how long, one day they will up to migrate for sure.
Yeah, correct. So that depends on multiple reasons. First, government projects, they don't move. When I say they don't move, they're moving very slowly. Okay? So if you look at Indian banks, they're very slow. If you look at US government, US or UK or France, all these governments, they are even moving slow. Okay. Only banking again moves very slow. Okay. So recently Bank of America migrated they completed the migration of Windows 7 to Windows 10 devices. 10. And by the time now they're in 10, by the time they go to 11, which is released today, last year, they'll take another 10 years. So that's the thing. But if you're looking at small organizations, modern organizations, everyone are moving to cloud. If you look at the entire Cognizant, Accenture, their own in-house applications, own in-house technologies, they're completely moved to cloud. Everyone are based on M365. Everyone are using all different products. Everyone are using Intune. Okay, if you're working in Cognizant, Wipro, Infosys, TCS, all these companies, around 30,000 people, they're based on Intune. Their backend is Intune for mobile devices and Intune for some of the workloads and a little bit of SCCM for some other workloads. They are migrating. Accenture is now 6 lakh employees are completely migrated to Intune. All of their applications, all of their laptops, newly coming laptops are purely autopilot and Intune based. So that is a trend. And the reason why Middle East, again, it's budget related. Not that they don't have money, they are working. Something is working, don't touch concept ways. Okay. So Middle East, yeah, I can say Middle East, most of them are moving. It depends on organization that you work. If you're working in a government, old oil industries, they don't move. But if you're looking at the bank, Khalifa, all these banks, they've already moved to Intune. So there's a huge demand even in Middle East for M365. Everywhere, okay? But South America is less. Okay? They are again more of Indian mentality, like SBI mentality, banking, government banks mentality. They don't move. They move at the end. They don't have budget. Okay, they're scared to move. All these things are obvious reasons.
But market is also very slow these days, so that's one of the reasons also.
Yeah, they don't get allocated. Yeah, they don't have no discretionary expenses until something mandatory. They don't invest.
Market is also getting corrected for the employees too. So
Yeah. So. So that's all I have. I don't have anything else because I can spend another 15 or 20 minutes time talking to you all, but so, but yeah, that's it. Okay. So let me know any other questions you have. Because
yeah, maybe we can reach out to the group if you have any questions.
yeah, that's correct. So let me know. The first thing is I would suggest you to give feedback on the training, both to Amit or